So now that we are moving on to the second part, so this is the deck of cards homework set. So before we begin, I want to remind you all that there are dependent and independent events, two dependent events. The chance of the second event changes depending on whether or not the first event happens. Then there is two independent events, which means the chance of the second event is the same regardless of whether or not the first event happens. All right, if two events are independent, then the chance that both happen is, now this is important how you calculate it, the chance the first event happens multiplied times the chance the second event happens. All right, so let's move on to the questions associated with this, okay? So, draw two cards with replacement. What is the chance that the first is a heart and the second is a heart? So first of all, I want to remind you that with replacement means that you are putting the card back, okay? So what that means then is that the chance that the first happens, so the chance I get a heart, because these two guys are independent, right? If I get a heart the first time around, it's not going to affect whether I get a heart the second time around. And then the second draw of chance of whether you get a heart. Okay? All right, so now we draw two cards without replacement then, without replacement, which means that you do not put the card back, okay? If I do not put the card back, then what does that mean? That means that the first, so chance you get a heart, so this should be the same chance when you just pick out, the chance you can pick out a heart. But then what changes now is that chance you get a heart if you do not put the card back, okay? So think about how that would change. First of all, that's going to change the number of hearts you have in your deck, and that's going to change the number of total cards in the deck, okay? All right. Okay, now moving on. You draw one card at random. What is the chance that it's either a king or a queen? Okay, so now we have to think about this. If we draw, so the thing is that chance is the number of outcomes that we want divided by the possible total outcomes, okay? So let's think about it that way. The number of outcomes that we want, so we want, think about a deck of cards. We want all the cards that are either a king or queen. So think about how many cards that is, okay? And then the total, possible total outcomes is how many total cards there are. Okay, so that's your hint for that question. Now, we go to, sorry, I need to change the color of my font so it looks so pretty for you guys. Draw one card at random, okay? What is the chance that it's either a king or a queen? So see above, very similar process, okay? Except, this is your warning. Be careful with counting the king of clubs only once. Okay? So what I mean is that when you take this card deck and you're finding all the cards that are either a king or a club, you're going to find a king of clubs, okay? So what I would recommend to go through is find the total number of clubs in the deck. Then find all the kings that are missing in that pile of clubs, okay? And that's going to be the number of outcomes we want, so the total number of cards out of the possible total outcomes would be the entire deck. All right, and that wraps up the card deck question.